Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning, and they're up against it now. Game 4 in St. Paul last night. Avalanche and the Wild. Colorado was dominated by Minnesota in Game 3. The Wild got a great start with a Brock Faber laser beam that's tipped by Danila Yurov. It's 1-0 home team. That was the score after 1. In the second, Colorado gets a power play. Wild penalty kill's been bad this whole playoff. Nazem Kadri gets a second whack at it and makes it a 1-1 game on a loose puck rebound. That was the score into the third. Crazy third period. Ross Colton will break the tie with a loose puck just sitting there. Makes it 2-1. Wild, they'll come right back. That pass from Quinn Hughes will be in the Hockey Hall of Fame one day. That was unbelievable. To Nico Sturm, watch again. It's the equivalent of a no-look pass. And we're tied at 2 halfway through the third. But the Avalanche kept coming. No pun intended. Parker Kelly wrists one past Jesper Wallstedt. Makes it 3-2 Avalanche. Minnesota had a chance. 2 minutes to go in the third. This shot somehow gets behind Mackenzie Blackwood. He saves it with the pad. Colorado, by the way, changed goaltenders after Game 3. Went with Blackwood. He made the save when he needed to. They get a Nathan McKinnon empty netter who took a shot up high and was bleeding. This from McKinnon to salt it away. They would add one more empty netter, and the Colorado Avalanche now are on the doorstep of elimination of the Wild. A 5-2 win last night in game number 4. We saw why they're the best team in the league last night. Blackwood had 19 saves in net. Scoring was spread out with 5 different goal scorers last night, and they've pushed the Wild now to the brink of elimination in a game where Minnesota just didn't have it last night. Wallstedt made 29 saves in net, but now they have to win 3 in a row against the best team in the league all season. Afterwards, John Hines searching for answers.
Wasn't good enough for us, but regroup tomorrow and take what we can take out of this one and make sure we're ready for the next one.
John, this felt like a game where you didn't get to your game like last game. Didn't get pucks deep, turnovers both blue lines. Obviously, Colorado's a really good team. What did they do to adjust, and maybe why did it take you so late to adjust back?
Well, I think there was a lot of things that you just said there were the truth. I think we didn't play direct enough. I think the style of game that we needed to play to win the game, we made the conscious choice not to play that way tonight. So, we'll readdress that, and then we'll get ready for Game 5.
And Game 5 is right around the corner. There's no more, 3 days off like they had between Games 2 and Game 3. Game 5 will be right back tomorrow night at Ball Arena, and now becomes must-win territory for Minnesota. That'll be 7 o'clock tomorrow night on TNT. And if the Wild are able to win that, there'll be a Game 6 will be Friday night in St. Paul, which would be the confluence of everything happening. You have Twins Brewers that night. We already know we're going to have a Game 6 at Target Center with the Spurs and the Wolves, and we could have a 6 game between the Wild and the Avalanche. That was the only playoff game last night. Obviously, we already know that Carolina's advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. We got Game 4 between Buffalo and Montreal tonight. Sabres will try to even that series up at 2 games apiece. We got Game 5 between the Ducks and the Knights. That series tied at 2 games apiece after Anaheim won on Sunday. Game 5 tonight in Vegas. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mike here on this Tuesday, the 12th of May, 2026. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. And it was Hines, I think, is still searching for answers there on how his team played. You heard him say, we made the conscious effort to play like that last night. And it seemed like they were sleepwalking. It's maybe the best way to describe what happened in the game. You knew Colorado. We talked about it before we wrapped up the show yesterday. The Avalanche were going to come loaded for bear. I was surprised about noon yesterday when the morning skates wrapped up that they made a change in net going with Blackwood after Wedgwood got yanked after Game 3. And just reading here, Chip Scoggins for the Star Tribune talking with the Wild postgame. Headline is, the Wild blew it in Game 4, and their players knew it. And that's the desperation now they're up against. How the Wolves played in the fourth quarter Sunday night is what we needed to see out of the Wild over the last 7 minutes of the game last night. After they tied it at 2, thinking, all right, they're hanging on by their fingernails here, but they're somehow tied, and they look like the team that is ready to win the Stanley Cup. And Minnesota did not over the final 7-8 minutes of that game. And now you are in a real bind. I mean, let alone you've got to find a way to win in Denver, which they did not do the first 2 games. And frankly, hardly anybody has done this season. You've got to not only win there, you got to win another game Friday and then win another game in Denver. And I understand they've won 2 Game 7s in Denver in 2003 and 2014. I gotcha. It's not against this team. But it's such a different feeling of being down 3-1 as opposed to tie 2-2. If the Wolves don't win Sunday night, we're in the same boat with the Timberwolves. It just feels way different that it's 2-2 as opposed to being down 3-1. And that's how they've got to somehow navigate it. Matt Boldy after the game, we left a little out there. Nico Sturm, it took us till halfway in the game to actually play honest hockey. Michael McCarron, I really don't think we had our best at all. Hockey Optics told the true story, according to Scoggins. The Avs were the stronger, more assertive team. The Wild flirted with danger. Their best players were not good enough. We let them go for 2 straight periods, McCarron said. All their guys were feeling it, and when it happens, those guys get in a groove, and they found ways to score in the third. We did not. And there you have it. So now you've got to somehow find a way to win 3 in a row against the best team in the league. And I know coaches won't say that, players won't say that. They've got to win 1 game in a row 3 straight times. It's semantics, but that's going to be an upward climb here to somehow get this back to St. Paul for a Game 6 on Friday. With that, good morning. Welcome, everybody. We got a lot to get to today. That obviously dominated the news last night. Locally, a little bit closer to home, a story that we've been trying to unearth for the better part of 6 months, finally got hold of yesterday. You'll remember, let me just back up here, that it was right before Thanksgiving. NDSU just completed an unbeaten season. Bison were the number 1 seed for the FCS playoffs. Think about that, simpler times. And the rumor mill was out there. Oregon State was flirting with Tim Polasek. There were other schools that were lining up, maybe Washington State, maybe Colorado State, that wanted to hire the Bison head football coach. And then it was, I want to say, Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. Story comes from Pete Thamel from ESPN to say that Polasek has agreed to a contract extension that will elevate the program, elevate his salary, elevate assistant salary, all of that. And immediately, I think we had him in here the next day. And I asked him, he's sitting right there, about why would you do this? Why would you sign an extension if something wasn't promised? And he kind of, if you go back and watch his eyes when I asked him that question, there was something there saying, hey, I can't tell you, but it's coming. And obviously what was coming was the Mountain West, an FBS deal. And Kolpak and myself have been asking about this with Matt Larson and NDSU's compliance office and the president's office for the better part of 6 months. Is it done? Is the contract done? It finally got signed last week, and now we have the particulars of exactly what's in the Tim Polasek contract extension. And it is a 7-year deal, runs through 2033. It will elevate his salary come July 1 when North Dakota State becomes an FBS program officially. Polasek will be paid $815,000 a year, automatically moving him up the leaderboard of Mountain West salaries. Come July 1 of 2027, it'll pay him $1.16 million. The Bison head football coach will be being paid over $1 million. And I know for some that's going to be earth-shattering money and say, what the hell is he getting paid this much money for? He's a college football coach. I would tell you, and I've said this term often for people that watch the show or listen, that this is big boy football. The Bison are paying their head coach big boy money. That's where we're at. The assistants are going to get hefty bonuses as well. There are a bunch of performance bonuses in here. I highlighted a few of them. We can go over all of them. These are the few to really focus on. Appearance fee is going to get $85,000 a year for that. That's between media appearances and just being the head football coach and going out and shaking hands at booster events, all that. It's a $750,000 buyout that actually drops to $250,000 if Matt Larson leaves before Polasek does. That's also of note. I will say, though, the buyout number, to me, if there's and he's only leaving for a Power 4 job, that's chump change. It is. That's not going to prevent anybody from going and getting the Bison head football coach. Some of the performance bonuses in here. $50,000 if they win the Mountain West Conference Championship. Winning a non-CFP bowl game gets $15,000. Appearing in a non-college football playoff bowl game, $25,000 for that. So that's automatically, if the Bison are ruled eligible next month and they win 6 games, he's going to get $25,000 just for getting any issue there. A college football first-round appearance or buy, $150,000 coming your way. College football playoff champion, that probably seems a bit outrageous to even think about, but be $350,000 if that were to come to fruition. And again, I mentioned on the buyout part of that. 7-year deal starting that he signed in January, runs through January of 2033. So that is now officially official. Something we've been trying to unearth here for the better part of 6 months is now. And I'm sure some would say, well, what is it, our business to report on that? It's news, folks. This is a big deal, especially now when the head football coach can be paid over $1 million. There's a couple other things here, and I know Matt Larson visited with Kolpak about this. Say it's about coming in with an opportunity to compete right away with everything from scholarships to support staff to salaries. We feel like it's a good investment in all those areas. And he added, it's consistent with everything we've looked at about in making the FBS jump. His old salary was about $500,000 plus bonuses, and that again was going to get. I think I added up all the, because he hit almost all the marks last year outside of the FCS playoff deal, winning the Mountain or the Missouri Valley Championship, unbeaten season. He had already hit a couple of benchmarks with his old deal, but obviously now this one comes in and it is a lucrative deal. I believe now puts him in the middle part of the Mountain West. We'll get into this later on in the show in terms of what Dan Mullen's getting over $3 million a year at UNLV. Jason Eck just got a little bit of a deal, bump, I should say, at New Mexico. Timmy Chang is making pretty good money at Hawaii. Jeff Choate is in that upper half at Nevada. Those are the common deals in the Mountain West Conference. It's ahead of what UTEP's coach is getting. Obviously, Northern Illinois lost its head coach. They have an interim right now running the ship there for the Huskies. But it's commensurate where they're at. And frankly, if you're going to be playing FBS football, you got to pay the head coach. That's the name of the game. This is another part of this for fans to wrap their minds around that's foreign to them, that the Bison head coach is going to get over $1 million a year. Yeah, that's part of it. We've seen it from afar and talked about it and maybe lamented it. Now here it is in our own backyard that it's happening here with the amount of money that the Bison head football coach is going to make. So we'll discuss more of that coming up later on in our show here on this Tuesday. We got a lot to get to on this Tuesday program. Our guest lineup is loaded today. It's brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. I mentioned our guy Mike McFeely will be in at 9:35. We'll chat about Politics New Deal. We'll chat some NBA playoffs with him as well, as we got Wolves-Spurs Game 5 tonight. Wemby is playing. No suspension. Nothing for the Spurs star. I'm not surprised on the no suspension. I am. No fine? Nothing? That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet the newest Bison transfer. Nyeoti Punni will join us from Holy Cross, coming in to join the Bison football team immediately. He was taking his last final. I talked with him yesterday. He'll be on an airplane for graduation next week, and then out here in Fargo as trying to earn some more PT at that running back spot. He'll be joining us at 10. About 10:20 in studio, we'll be joined by NDSU senior golfer, Fargo Shanley grad Jake Skarperud will join us. The Bison men's golf team, of course, fresh off a Summit League championship. They're heading to the NCAA regionals next week in Arizona. We'll get Jake's thoughts about that and life after college. Is he going to keep playing golf? I think I have an answer on that. We'll visit with Jake. Looking forward to that conversation in studio about 10:20 this morning. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. You schedule nerds out there. I'm looking right at myself here. We keep getting the drips of the NFL part of it. Still nothing on the Vikings. Little surprise. Nothing on the Jets. But we know week 1 for Monday Night Football and a couple other scheduled nuggets as we start on this Tuesday. Back on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com after this. Welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic. For our next segment here, I will fully appreciate the groaning or rolling of the eyes of what we're going to discuss, but it is schedule week. We actually got 2 college games yesterday. Fox had its TV upfront yesterday. Again, for those of the uninitiated, the upfronts are where the networks go to all the advertisers and tell them, hey, these are what the TV shows we have for the upcoming fall. And obviously, sports is live sports, and certainly football. If you've got it, you're going to flaunt it, and every network that can do it does it. Today's the biggie, because Disney has its one today. Already, we had one game leak on Good Morning America. I'll get to that in a second. But today is a biggie. There's a bunch of NFL games we've had out. We haven't had any college games. Outside, like late last week, we got Notre Dame's schedule on NBC. We got 2 college games yesterday. Both involve Michigan. We could have set this a while ago. This is why, again, I implore you, I'm with Josh Pate on this. If you follow Josh Pate's podcast, who follows college football, he's dead right on this. To televise the college football TV draft. Everything else these days gets streamed. This is, for some reason, behind closed doors of how the networks pick the college football games. Because now, Fargo has a decided stake in this, now that they're part of the FBS party, that they would have their games picked. Like the NDSU Jacksonville State game right off the hop. Week 0 game. Now, the Mountain West controls that game since the Bison are at home. That I'm sure they would want to put it on one of their channels, likely CBS Sports Network, maybe Fox Sports 1. We don't know. As of yesterday, it wasn't part of their announcement. Fox announced Michigan, Oklahoma for September the 12th. Stunner, because, Fox has the Big Ten deal. And then the other one we could have picked a year ago. Of course, they were going to take Michigan, Ohio State for November the 28th. If you got the game, you're going to televise it. Fox has had it forever. They're never going to let that go as long as they have the Big Ten deal. We would expect today ESPN will give us a couple SEC games, like Georgia, Alabama, a Texas game likely in there with Arch Manning. I would anticipate we'll get those leaked out sometime today. That's just good business. You're going to do that, especially you have Texas as Arch Manning. That's going to, and they expect Arch to be the number one pick in the NFL draft next April. You're going to leak out those that you could on that. That just makes a ton of sense. If I'm Disney, if I'm ESPN, if I'm ABC, like Texas, Oklahoma on October the 10th, got to imagine that's going to be an ABC game. I would think that would make a lot of sense that they would take that one. Like, let's look a little later in the year. Florida, Georgia, maybe on Halloween. You can imagine that game. That's in Atlanta. That's likely, that's at worst ESPN. That's ABC. It's screaming for that one. Alabama, LSU. I think we all know where that game's going. Those are the ones that are likely going to get announced today. Now, on the NFL side, yesterday we found out a couple by the time we were on the air. After we signed off, Fox had its presentation, as I mentioned. Thanksgiving Day, we'll get Dallas, Philadelphia. That's the late game, or the middle game, I should say, because now they have a late game on Amazon. But Philly and Dallas will play at whatever, 3:30 on Fox, and that will shatter television viewing records. It just will. Eagles, Cowboys. I don't care if Dallas stinks and Philadelphia is great. People are going to watch. It's just Philly and Dallas will do well. Also yesterday, Amazon had its presentation. They announced their first Thursday night game will be Detroit and Buffalo from the new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. That's or Orchard Park, right across the street from the old stadium. You're going to have Lions, Cowboys. Also this morning, Monday Night Football Week 1 was announced. Denver and Kansas City. Here's the best part about it. There's no site for the game yet. Like, I've never heard of that before. They announced the game, but didn't say where the game is going to be played. But that game on ABC, Denver, Kansas City, will start the season on Monday Night Football. Also, we got, of those games that ESPN gave back to the NFL because they're not doing the doubleheaders on Monday night anymore, they released 2 new windows. And we talked about this yesterday, about the NFL trying to maximize more windows that they haven't before. One of them is Saturday, December the 19th, 7 p.m. on CBS. CBS will get a late Saturday night game on December the 19th. Why that day is relevant? That is the day of the first round of the college football playoff, which we have seen before how that's gone for the CFP when they've gone up against the NFL. The answer, not well. So we have a primetime game on CBS that Saturday night. NBC has hopped into a game that's Saturday, January the 2nd at 3:30. That will be leading into a game exclusively on Peacock right after it. I'm sure people will love that. But they'll have 2 games on that day, on January the 2nd. So that's what we know so far, as it says on the graphic, of the primetime games or the new windows that have come out. The international games are set to be announced tomorrow. I would not anticipate the Vikings being part of that since Minnesota played 2 international games a season ago. But that's what we know on that front. So no Vikes yet. A little surprised because Minnesota normally gets some love on some nationally televised games, and they won 9 games a year ago. No Packers yet. A little surprised on that. Green Bay always is a schedule's darling and gets put on television. I mean, the 2 games we've found out so far have Dallas in it. Stunner that the Cowboys are going to be on TV a lot. No surprise on Buffalo. No surprise on Kansas City. We already know the Seahawks are hosting the first game of the season because they're the reigning champs. I mean, the NFL is going to play the hits on who they're going to put on and have the first Sunday night game be Dallas and the Giants. Makes a lot of sense. You're not going to put Colts Jets there, even though I would like it. You want people to actually watch, as my dad would tell me. So that's what we know. And I imagine over the next 90 minutes there will be more leaks to come. But the NFL has really tightened down on this. A couple years ago, when we were doing this particular week, Eric could search online and get us about 8 games. NFL didn't like that. They wanted to save it for their show or have them be released on the various networks. Like the Today Show had something yesterday. GMA had something today. I imagine tomorrow that CBS will get its deal. The international games are going to come out tomorrow on Good Morning Football. So everyone's going to get their crack at the pie on this to release them out. And it's marketing genius. College football needs to follow suit on this, honestly. Or at worst, televise the draft part of it. Because I think now, especially for making it localized here, people are so used to, like, well, WDAY has the games on for Bison football, and that's how it's going to be. And obviously that's not how it's going to be going forward, that there's a certain pecking order of who gets to pick what games. Frankly, it comes down to how much money you paid for your package that you get first pick. Like Fox has the best Big Ten deal. They get first pick. And obviously they took Ohio State, Michigan. Now, ESPN and the SEC have an exclusive deal. They're going to get the best games likely to ABC. The Mountain West, we don't have the monetary specifics on it. I would imagine that Fox probably paid the most. That's why they have the Mountain West Championship game. CBS SN gets the most tonnage, so I imagine they get probably the number 2 pick, and then CW gets the number 3 pick after that. If I was guessing, that's without any inherent knowledge, but just kind of know, that's how I would imagine it goes in the pecking order of that. We'll find out. We're 2 weeks out from the release of that info. Maybe some more will come out, and when we do, we'll certainly pass it along. We're working on it, I can tell you that. We'll break. We come back. Speaking of football, our guy Mike McFeely will join us. He'll chat on Tim Polassek's new deal, also chat on Wolves Spurs Game 5, and whatever else comes under the purview of us. That's coming up when we come back.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. There he is. Our guy Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. I'm working on something special for you, by the way, for sponsorship. I hopefully in a couple weeks be able to announce that here. So that's what we call in the business a tease.
Well,
folks,
you tell me what I can do to help close this deal, because they call me the finisher.
Is that right?
They do.
I heard other nicknames for you around in the time I've known you.
Talk to my wife, huh?
Good to see you. Give me your 2 cents here. I haven't asked Tim Polassek's contract. We finally unearthed. What do you make of what the Bison football coach is getting paid?
I was on your program last week bragging about the fact that I get a summer-long membership for $40 to Sunset Lanes, and that made my. So I thought I was having a good summer.
You sent me a photo. You were there again.
I thought I was having a pretty good spring.
Things were going okay.
I found out that Tim Polassek's having a way better spring than I'm having. 1.16 million better spring than I'm having. Wow. Congratulations. And, I mean, we knew that was coming. We knew that there was a new contract coming. Took a while to get it done. I didn't expect the numbers to be this big. Yeah. To be honest with you. I thought they would get up in the 600, 750, 850 range.
So Jeff and I were asked off air yesterday. I thought 750 to 800. I thought that would be the.
That's kind of where my mind was too. Like they were going to ease into this, like an old man slipping into a bathtub. Like an old man. No, what's that line in Seinfeld? Is that the Andrea Doria line in Seinfeld?
I wasn't prepared for that.
Like an old man returning a sandwich.
Soup in a deli. I was not prepared.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But if you go back and think about what Matt Larson and others, Todd Phelps, have said in the run-up to this, they have properly and smartly said, we're not just doing this just to do this and be an FBS. We want to compete for conference championships and the possibility of the Brett McMurphy Cup, and that's getting into the college football playoff.
Yes.
And so it makes sense that it's like NDSU football doesn't do things half-arsed.
No.
They just don't.
No.
And they can't afford to do it in this situation.
Not anymore. No way. Nope.
And so it makes sense what they're doing, getting Tim up from, I think, 8.15 this year to 1.16. I don't know the numbers after that. But it makes sense that I think they're going to be 5th in the conference.
Yeah, Eric, go ahead and bring the graphic up. Eric found
head
this
coach's salary.
what the salaries are in the Mountain West. Dan Mullen makes the most at UNLV, and he's just over $3.5
million.
Which, I mean, when they hired him, though, remember UNLV, and I think we talked about this, say, hey, they're going to be committed to being better in football. That's why they went and got Dan Mullen.
Well, and they also want an invite to the Big 12.
Correct.
They don't want to be in the Mountain West forever.
No. And they don't want the Pac-12 either.
Right, and they've said no to the Pac-12, which tells you that they have their sights set on something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, can we get in the Big 10? Can we get in the Big 12 because we're in Vegas?
Yep.
So that's $3.5 million. Jason Eck after that's at 1.5 or 1.55, and NDSU is sort of in that ballpark already.
Right. Automatically, he's above Choate, which is, by the way, probably a shot there, because Choate gets $1.15 million. He's 5th in the league. So automatically, Polisek now, the Bison are slotted in, Michael, halfway up the leaderboard here.
And San Jose State, part of that might just be the fact that it's in San Jose.
Yep.
And in San Jose, California, $1.15 million is equal to $30,000 in North Dakota.
Just $1.1 million.
Just ask Tim Miles what the cost of living is in San Jose, California.
Well, what does $1.1 million get you in Laramie for Jade Sawville's getting there?
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
right. Living high on the hog,
like the
right?
Elon Musk of Laramie. He's like he's going around doing the make it rain thing in Laramie for that.
Oh man!
And so it's not unexpected. There's going to be some pushback.
Yep.
There's already people
there
complaining.
Will be. Absolutely. I already heard it yesterday.
You know,
totally.
I'm sure our guy at Forum Communications, the watchdog of college athletics, Rob Port out in Minot, which is fine.
Yeah.
He's perfectly free to have the opinion that college sports are overwrought and too expensive, and there's
hard to disagree on some of that.
Yeah. It's just that if you're going to be in the Mountain West, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to do this.
Right.
You're not going to. You don't want to be the Murray State of the Mountain West and come in with $4 in your bank account and say, "Well, we're in the Mountain West."
Right.
I mean, you have to
get
try
your
to
brains
compete.
beat in. Right.
It does you no good to do that.
The intriguing part also, some of the performance bonuses in this, including in a bowl game, get $25,000 if they make just a bowl game, which is we don't know if that's going to happen yet or not.
Right.
For this upcoming
we think
season.
they're going to be eligible, and we think they're going to be good enough to get to 6 wins. Yeah. So that could come into play.
$200,000 in a college football playoff championship game appearance. We think that'll ever be attained.
A championship game appearance? The CFP?
Yeah, CFP game appearance.
That's
accurate there.
I'm going to go with the no on that.
Mountain West Coach of the Year, though, $20,000. That's
a possibility.
Very attainable there. Winning a non-CFP bowl game, so just a bowl game, $15,000.
Yeah. And none of that is unique. Every coach in North Dakota State has had bonuses. In FCS.
Yes.
And it was, I think didn't Tim have one in there, like getting ranked in the top 25 of the AP
poll was in his old deal.
I think so, and I think that's in here in this new one too. But there's also, championship game appearances, national championship coach of the year, standard stuff in the contracts. The interesting thing about this is just the sheer numbers of the dollars, because we're not used to that here. We're used to it wasn't that long ago that Bob Babich was making like $75,000 as the head coach when they were Division II, which at the time was like, oh, that's pretty good cash. Yep. That's equal to $150 now or whatever it is. Yep. But for a Division II coach, that's pretty good.
Well, I remember Bowl got extended right before he left, and the amount of money he got there was like, okay, that's sizable.
Right.
And obviously
but
it wasn't enough to
when
get him
Craig
to
left,
right.
and we saw those numbers at
to Wyoming. Yeah.
And when he got his extension,
Yipper.
It's not the first contract; it's the second
Same
contract.
thing with Chris at Kansas State,
right.
the second one that Kleiman got.
That's the one that gives you legacy wealth.
Yep.
That's the one that's
generational, right?
Yeah, that's what set up Craig and his family for a long, long time, and set up Chris and his family
for a long
time.
Yes, totally on that. The other number on this, and this is offshoot of the contract, was digging in, and I know you did this on the Mountain West deal. Because I looked into this a little bit more for the Bison, wondering if they're going to get eligible for a bowl game or postseason. All the other pool of money that is potential there for NDSU, even if they get eligible, they are able to attain if the Division I cabinet signs off on that.
Right.
We're talking six figures that's automatically going to come right to them because if they get there.
And that's sort of the underrated part of what Matt Larson's trying to do. He was right from the start to say that we're going to try to get a waiver.
Yes.
I mean, everybody does that. We've talked about that ad nauseum with James Madison, Jacksonville State, yada yada yada. But sort of tertiary to that was, you can unlock some money and that helps pay all this.
Yes.
We talked about on my podcast last week or a couple weeks ago that. One thing that I think is going to be a challenge for North Dakota State. It's not just this initial rush of money that the $5 million, which is a lot, the $12.5 million, which is a really, really lot. It's the ongoing sustainability of this.
Yes.
And part of that you and I and Jeff Kolpak brought up, and you can go listen to it at inform.com, is like the coaching salaries and the staff salaries, and they're adding positions for staff. And the travel, all of that that's not a one-time cost.
Yeah.
That's
got to do it every year.
Every year. And you have to grow it every year. And so that's the question that is going to be asked and should be asked. Again, they're all fair questions because I saw a guy who I like, Tim Mathern, state senator from Fargo, made a comment on Jeff's story about the salary. Like, well, I guess that we see where the priorities are for higher education or something like that.
Okay.
The question is where is this money coming from? And North Dakota State famously gets just about zero from the legislature to help with athletics and gets just about zero from the institution in terms of student fees. It's not zero, but it's incredibly low.
It's really low.
Yes. It's the lowest, I think, in Division I. It's just unbelievable. And so all of this money they've raised for the $50 million practice building, for the $12.5 million to get to the Mountain West, the $5 million to get to FBS, all of that,
private.
Every single dollar is privately raised. Yep. So that's something else to keep in mind as you're going to be one of those. And I'm not directing this at Senator Mathern because I like Tim a lot, but if you're going to be that person that's frankly bitching about this and it's $1 million. Right. We're going to have to double check on this, but my guess is it's all or mostly privately raised money because that's how NDSU is forced to do things. Yep. And you can complain about the priorities of the donors, which frankly is none of your business.
Right. How you spend your money, how they spend your money is not your concern, right?
Right. I mean, it's
their money.
And this is a long discussion. We're getting off the rails here, but there's this belief, and one of the issues I've had with Rob Port, again, that he has every right to believe that there's too much money being spent on college athletics. Many people, I think that the NIL stuff, all that stuff is off the rails right now. I agree with them there, but there's an assumption that if Bob Shimtree doesn't give $10 million to NDSU athletics, that it's going to go somewhere else at NDSU. And that's not the case. If you talk to developmental people, the fundraisers, they want to give their money to this because that's what they want to give their money to. It's not going to go to the library if they don't give it for the practice building. It's it's two separate things.
Correct.
And the same way that if people who give $10 million to the library, they're not going to, if it doesn't go there.
It's not going to the football team.
It's not going to the football team because that's just not where their interests are.
Correct. Again, They're choosing to spend their money where they're choosing to spend their money on.
And you can you can say, well, gosh, it would sure help if they would give that money to the homeless shelter or the dog shelter or the library. But that's not where they're going to give their money. No. And so it doesn't. You can complain all you want, but in the end, if somebody makes $100 million in their life and they want to give $10 million to the football team because that's what their passion is.
And they enjoy it. They love it.
And that's where they feel they make an impact in students' lives and they give scholarships. That's their decision.
Yep, totally. Let's break. We come back. We got to talk about the elbow heard around the world because I know Michael has some thoughts on it. We got Wolves-Spurs Game 5 tonight.
That cheap shot artist is playing.
He is not even fined.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Let's save our vitriol for that. We come back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. I got a couple emails in before I want to talk Wemby and the Wolves. Dom and Mike, with politics Rays now known, any word on Matt Larson's? I don't know. I don't know if you on that. If you've been working.
I guess I didn't even think of him being. I don't think of Matt, and I don't mean this as an insult. I don't think of him as being under contract. I guess I just think of him as.
There is.
I guess he is obviously, but I just don't think of that because I just don't.
Well, there is part of the buyout that actually drops $500,000 if Larson were to leave before Pulisic does. The buyout goes to $250,000.
Yes, and I don't. But I've never seen Matt as being a guy that's not going to be renewed. Right. I've always seen him as a guy that is maybe going to take the next job at some point.
Yep. Another one.
How about Dave Richmond?
Yeah. Actually, David almost broke some news with us last week. He was on fire when I asked him about. He came on the show and I just want to talk about tournament expansion. He just went on like a runaway train on stuff. What I was told is there is significant momentum that might be announced sometime very soon.
Good, because that's he was on this next year would be the last year of his contract.
Correct.
So which is rare in college sports,
unheard of, basically,
to have a coach go into the last year of his contract,
unless you're in Vermillion, South Dakota,
or Grand Forks,
yeah.
Where Paul Sather basically saved his job by finishing third in the league and getting to the championship game.
Eric Peterson, right, is going into his final year at South Dakota, correct?
Yes, correct.
And they've decided they're going to run that out.
They're just going to roll it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of contracts, I don't care about the money, Dom. What are they doing signing 7-year contracts? Only reason he is leaving is for a Power 5 job. It can go the other way, too, and he needs to be fired. What's that buyout? The buyout is $750,000.
Which again is nothing. It seems
correct.
It seems like a lot to you and me in the fence post because that is a lot of money to every normal person, but in the coaching world. When you pay 12, I'm always going to go back to this.
Yeah, I know, it's 12.5.
When you pay $12.5 million just to get in the league, what's $750?
Yeah, correct.
Just go dig through the couch cushions in the Nodak indoor facility and find $750.
So off of that, if I would have told you yesterday that Wemby would have been fined $750,000, you would have thought appropriate, or at least something. He got zero for what happened Sunday night.
I don't think he should be playing in Game 5.
You tweeted that right out after this incident.
Like I mean, how's he playing? The money means nothing.
What if it was
the
flipped?
Money means nothing to Victor Wembanyama because he makes $20 million a year or whatever he's making.
What if Nas did it to him? Nas ain't playing tonight.
No way.
Exactly.
No.
That's
not Nas Reed is out.
Right. He might not play the rest of the season. You know what I mean?
Right. Just so that's the Jordan rules, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's always sort of
in
been
the
that
NBA
way.
part of it. But I mean, you watch it, and the best part was when he asked, "What's it mean?" It's fascinating that he didn't know what had happened. But you were talking to me during the break. I mean, he literally winds up. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Well,
with intent.
That was not like a
incidental
a basketball move. Like I'm pivoting to get to that was. You can see his eyes turn and look at Reed.
Yep.
And he winds up and drills him
totally
right in the neck as hard as he can.
The Nas Reed didn't react either. I mean, it's just right in the chops. It's right in the chops.
I'll tell you this. If I would have done that at the YMCA back in the mid-'90s,
brawl,
I would have been suspended from noon ball for at least a week.
Right.
And the guy that I did it to probably would have beat the living crap out of me, and I would have deserved it, by the way, as well.
Well, that's the thing. Nas Reed didn't even react. Like, in any other scenario, we might have a whole fracas happening, and it just, nothing came of that.
Well, Wemby
Literally nothing came of it.
was, he was getting mauled.
He was, but that's still not reason enough to do that.
But that's part of these playoffs. This series especially is like, wow.
Physical.
Like, how do you, like you and I go to Summit League games and go, geez. And then like this stuff, and I'm not even at these games.
Yeah, just watch it on TV. Right.
It's just like,
yep.
How do you play basketball when it's that physical? Yep. And B, how do you officiate that? Like if you're an official, where do you draw the line? Because you can't call everything.
Yeah.
Because the game would take 6 hours and there'd be no players left because everybody would foul out.
Correct.
But you can't call nothing.
No.
Because there'd be a homicide.
Bedlam.
Like
right.
There'd be literally like a hearse on the floor at Target Center. Carting the body, like the old Monty Python skit, Bring out your dead. I'm not dead yet. Thunk.
Just a flesh wound.
and so, I mean, there'd
man.
Be, I don't know. Michael Palin wheeling a cart through Target Center, picking up the bodies off the floor. I mean, just.
I have no idea, and it's different for every official. Like tonight, we'll see what they let go and what they don't. And
it depends on who and this is true at every level of basketball.
Yes.
And I hate to talk about the officials.
I don't like it either.
Because it just people whining about the officiating, it just stinks. But it depends what the crew is.
Yep.
I mean, if it's Scott Foster tonight.
Look out, good God.
If Scott Foster's officiating, it's
Well, look what happened in Game 3.
Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid will have 6 fouls combined in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Well, look at Game 3. Tony Brothers and Chris Finch.
And Tony Brothers, who, by the way, I love.
He's great.
He's like the best guy on the microphone.
When he goes to the mic, it's fantastic.
That's the best innovation in NBA televised basketball is the explanation from the official because Tony Brothers is worth it. But he's
the head coach.
He's like the center of attention.
Yes.
He's the center of attention.
Right. What do you got? Who's officiating tonight, Eric? Who's going tonight for Game 5 with Wemby back?
John Gobble, Ben Taylor, Carl Lane, and the alternate is Kevin Cutler.
All right.
Okay. So it's not
Bedlam tonight.
It's not Foster or Tony.
Brothers.
And
Does this mean that any Wolves player can elbow Wemby and they won't be ejected?
Nope. No, it totally doesn't mean that.
There's 2 sets of rules.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, it's.
They win another game in this series, Minnesota?
It's like this. If I drop an F-bomb on this program right now, I'm out because I'm at the bottom of the ladder. If Dom Izzo drops an F-bomb right now, he gets a raise and a promotion.
That is so not accurate.
Because he's Dom Izzo.
No, that is not correct.
That's the difference.
The Wolves win another game, or are they done?
Sure, no.
Think so?
Oh yeah, this is
going 7.
This is a Pier 6 brawl now, man. This is going to be
tonight. Look out, bar the door on this one tonight.
If you think the last game got physical after the cheap shot, the Wolves tonight.
He shouldn't be playing.
The Wolves tonight would rather extract their pound of flesh.
Yeah, you're right. Than
win the game.
Win the game.
If they have to just absolutely batter San Antonio and lose the game, they will, and they'll bring it back to Target Center and try to win.
And then take their chance in Game 6.
In Game 7, 6 and 7.
Gosh, it's been fun to watch. But meanwhile, Oklahoma City's sitting out here. They got a week off, and no one's going to beat them anyway.
No,
right?
The Spurs could but now I don't think they can.
Do the New York Knicks have a chance? Do the New York Knicks have a chance?
Shut up! I don't know what you're talking about. I know nothing of this Knicks squad that you talk about.
Well, they're going to beat Detroit or Cleveland. I can tell you that.
Philadelphia, how bad?
My God!
I mean,
right? It was not effort, energy level low.
I know that our brethren in the Missouri Valley Football Conference used to hate when we talk about the Bison hangover. It doesn't exist.
Yes.
It doesn't exist. Sure. Yes, UND beat NDSU by 7 touchdowns in Grand Forks, and then went down to Cedar Falls and didn't score a point and got shut out.
Yeah.
But there is no hangover. There's no hangover after the Bison. There was a Celtics hangover.
Yeah, out of Philadelphia.
I'm pretty sure that the Sixers won their Super Bowl and said,
beat Boston, and we're all set.
Good. Yep. And Bede said, I'm good. We beat Boston.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming by as always, bud. Appreciate it. Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour meeting NDSU's newest football transfer. Nyeoti Punni from Holy Cross will join Hot Mike when we come back.
This This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Don Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll. All right, thanks to Mike McFeely, as always. Good stuff there. So yesterday, Kolpak and I visited the newest Bison addition to the roster. Tim Polsick's not done with his 2026 team as of yet because of a couple injuries, actually, that were sustained during spring football. The big offensive lineman from Pewaukee, Wisconsin, Tucker Thieneman, has an MCL injury that's going to keep him out. And Braylon Tolliver tore his ACL, the freshman running back. The two guys that got early enrolled, 2 of the 4 that early enrolled, both got hurt during spring football, which maybe is a conversation for another time. But how this works, we're going to get in the weeds here before we introduce you to Nyeoti Punni here in a second, is that now with the House settlement, you have the 105 roster spots, right? And if you have a player that is going to be ineligible or can't play, that they don't necessarily count against that for that upcoming season. That's why Punni was suddenly able to be added to the roster, and I don't think they're done in potentially adding another player. Now, Punni comes in as a guy, and you're going to hear him here, is a track standout out of the state of New Hampshire. He was born in New Jersey and was originally recruited to Holy Cross to run track, but football never left him, and you'll hear it from him. The Holy Cross coaches approached him about playing football, and you'll see in his highlights as well that there is a burst of speed that is track-related on that. He's going to come to NDSU with 2 years of eligibility to play and trying to fight for, frankly, to be that number 3 running back when the Bison take the field in late August. I visited with Nyeoti yesterday, get his thoughts on coming to Fargo this past weekend and now being a member of the Bison football team.
I entered the portal back in officially when it opened, and I was hearing from a good amount of schools, but a lot of schools were a little hesitant because I didn't graduate until May. So, had to miss out on a few opportunities. But, NDSU ended up coming in towards the back end. And, it was just once the coaches reached out to me, it became really a no-brainer, knowing how just the winning culture and just the brand NDSU presents. So it was an easy decision for me.
How was it frustrating to have to tell schools you got to wait till I got to graduate? I'm not going to be available until May.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating, especially when the recruiting started to slow down due to not being able to graduate until May. But I knew that it was going to work out. I was going to end up at the place I was meant to be. So
NDSU reaches out. What's your reaction when you heard that?
I just instantly thought about all the guys who've come out of there and just the rich history it has, and obviously playing in FCS, you know who North Dakota State is, and what the challenge that they present and how great of a football team it is. So it was definitely like a dream come true moment, being able to have coaches from a program like that reach out to me.
Nyeoti, I hear it all the time. It's like speed dating. Is that accurate? What this past weekend was like?
Yeah, very similar to speed dating. You're in and out. It's not too much to really do. You just have to go there, see the place, and then to make a decision. Really.
What did they show you? And I guess let me first start. What were expectations, and were they met, exceeded, or what was your even like getting off the plane? What you saw here?
Yeah, so I'm going into it. I was a little unsure because I haven't really been out to the Midwest before, and I didn't really know what to expect in North Dakota. Only thing I really knew about North Dakota was Cowboys and stuff like that. I didn't really know too much, but just getting off the plane and seeing the city of Fargo was definitely it was breathtaking. So I wasn't expecting to see like a true city and just like the kind of the vibe the city has was amazing to me, and just seeing how much they support the football players, and yeah, it definitely exceeded my expectations. I wasn't expecting to really be in that kind of environment.
On the football side, what was or anything that you were needing to hear or wanting to hear when you were out here?
I guess just that they would have a role for me, and that there'd be opportunity coming there and just compete off, from day one, and just help the team win football games. And then that's all I really want to do is just, be a part of a program that, sees the value in me and wants to use me to my full capacity. So it was hearing that it was good.
So did they tell you, hey, we need a decision before you leave, or was it, hey, take your time, or how did it work out on that front?
I mean, they were trying to move pretty quick, especially with summer training coming up, and just wanting me to get familiar with the playbook. So it was kind of, just can't really think on it too much because season's right around the corner, summer's right around the corner. So just had to kind of be quick with it.
Describe your running style. People are going to see your highlights or have seen your highlights and can see you can fly. Just describe how you attack it when you're out on the field.
Yeah, so just being a bigger guy, it's obviously physically, like you're looking at it and physically imposing to the defense, and then being able to hit them with that another element of being to outrun corners and safeties and stuff like that. So I think that's what the fans can expect. Someone who can not only run up the middle, but be guys with speed and just be explosive.
Give me your history here. Were you recruited at Holy Cross to do both, or was it just track?
Yeah, so I was originally recruited to solely do track, and then after my freshman year, the football coaches and I came together, and they saw the value in me joining the team, and it's kind of a no-brainer after that.
But your history was in track. You were an elite track runner. Describe your passion for that and what drew you to that. Was that like your sport, your favorite one growing up?
No, actually, I started doing track my junior year started taking track serious my junior year of high school, and I went to a small high school in a small town in New Hampshire, so weren't too many eyes on us. So, I kind of knew that football probably wasn't going to be my future in college, even though, I had the love for it and I feel like I had the talent for it. But, just had to venture off the track because I felt it was, better opportunity, get a scholarship and get school paid for it. And that's what I ended up doing. So that's what I decided to stick with track for that reason.
Did you have a favorite event that you loved?
Yeah, I used to love the 200 back in the day. It was my favorite event for sure. It just brought me a lot of joy when I was doing it for sure.
It seems obvious that what would translate to football, but what are there other elements of your track background that really help you in football?
I think just having longer strides, being a taller person, but also knowing how to run with good form. I think that helps. Separating from defenders and just being able to run effectively and not having that much wasted movement.
So when you go back out for football, so it had been a couple years after high school that you hadn't done it. I mean, what was the reacclimation of getting back on the pads and back on a sideline?
I mean, it was hard. I mean, especially at Holy Cross, they had a pretty competitive running back room, a lot of All-Americans, a lot of great talent. So just going in there knowing that it might be a few years before I have really a real opportunity. So just having to kind of be patient and wait for my opportunity. It was hard because track you can compete every Saturday in track. The competition's always there, but football, you never know when you're going to be able to step on that field, no matter how prepared or how well you feel. So
you feel like you now a couple years in, now you're hitting your stride now in football?
Yeah, I feel like I just have a lot of football left to play. I feel like haven't reached my potential by any means. So and I think one of the reasons NDSU stood out to me is because I feel like Coach Ajuri and Coach Larson and Coach Wallace, like all the coaches staff could really help me reach my true potential. And I think everybody just knows that, there's just much more out there for me, even though I'm coming off a pretty good season, but, I'm still hungry, still ready to work.
What's the reaction been like? Is it been surprising to you after you announced this on Saturday?
Yeah, it was like, because it was a long process, so it was hard, but then, finally be able to settle on a school and feel confident. It was definitely felt good, but now it's a little anxious because the real work starts now. So it's just time to go to work and time to put it all together and prove the coaches right for allowing me to join the team.
So I mean, you're taking finals now. What's your timeline? I imagine you got to be back out here pretty quick.
Yeah, so I actually graduated on May 22nd, and most likely going to fly out that night back to Fargo. So it's going to be a quick turnaround, but it is what it is. You just gonna have to handle it with the utmost grace and just get ready to work.
Did you get a playbook on your flight back home?
I don't know. I'm actually starting Zoom calls with Coach Ajuri and just trying to learn the playbook as fast as possible. Just trying to be the most confident, most prepared player I can be. So when we start practicing and start going through installs, it's not the first time I'm hearing it.
What was your reaction hearing about the Mountain West?
I mean, yeah, I remember when the news came out. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like North Dakota State, they've been an FCS powerhouse, and now they're about to tackle on the Mountain West. But just looking at it from a distance, but now being a part of it, it's like being a part of history and looking for whole team's ready for the new challenge. But it's just exciting for sure.
You mentioned to me on Saturday running behind this offensive line. What was your knowledge of it from afar, and now after seeing it up close, like, boy, this is an opportunity for me?
Yeah, so NDSU is known for producing elite offensive linemen. Gray Zabel obviously being one of them, and just knowing how elite they teach, the run game. So just knowing that, I have that ability to run between those tackles and those guards and see some holes I probably haven't seen before, because it's just how elite the offensive line is. So I think it'll be a pretty good combination, having my running style and then, being able to not really go untouched for the first 4 to 5 yards, and then getting ahead of steam is going to be awesome.
Last thing for you, just have this over and done with. How grateful are you? Like, this has been you mentioned a long process, and now it's, where you're going, and it's all going to happen now in a kind of a instant.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a blessing, just going through the whole process and, having times where I was a little unsure and a little worried about, not being able to go where I wanted to go just based off, not graduating until May, but, just stayed faithful, stayed prayed up, and I knew that everything's going to work out for a reason. And now I can say, I'm a member of the North Dakota State football team, and that's a dream come true in itself.
Nyeoti Punni joining us here. Visited with him yesterday as the newest member of the Bison football team. Good stuff. And you mentioned, again, the speed dating part of this we've heard a few times over, but literal speed from him, considering how fast you saw his football highlights there from this past season at Holy Cross. And this is how quick it turns around here, folks. You mentioned he's graduating next week, May 22nd, 10 days from now, hopping an airplane after that and coming out here to get ready because summer workouts start at, I believe, June 1 is when, and he's in a similar spot that DJ Scott was in this time last year. Remember, the Bison added DJ Scott after Marty Brown departed in late April. It was after the Bison came back from the White House that Marty made his announcement he's entering the portal and went to Miami. Spring ball was officially done when they added DJ Scott. And DJ took a little bit of time, but obviously ended up playing and being a solid contributor. They're hoping Punni can be in that same boat here in 2026 to get on the field and help them out. Good stuff there. If you missed it, we'll podcast that later today. We'll break. We come back. We'll chat some golf. We mentioned the Bison season is not done. Fargo's Jake Skarperud will join us in studio about NDSU winning the Summit League Championship, heading back to Arizona next week. That's coming up when we come back. Boy, this is a producing first. I actually said 1022. We're back at 1022 here. Welcome back, everybody. We were following it last week of the exploits of the NDSU men's golf team. They came back with a Summit League championship. We had Fargo's Gabe Benson on last week. We got another Fargo guy joining us here in studio. I think I've been interviewing him for about, 10 years. Jake Skarperud. Good to see you, bud. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty sure you made your commitment on this show. Did you not? Like pretty soon after,
like it,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm officially old again. Tell me first, congratulations.
Thank you.
The golf career goes for another couple weeks here, right?
Exactly. Thought it was ending last week, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, kind of got to regroup and finish up school and got a couple weeks left to golf. So.
All right, so can you confirm, because Gabe told us last week that it was between Rylan Petrie and yourself, you guys are the biggest entourage of people. Is that accurate, of family and supporters you had there?
Yes, for sure. And even Rylan, from Fertile up in Minnesota, it seemed like the half a town was there. So it was cool to see everyone travel down and support us.
Well, you mentioned off air, you have some family in Arizona. So who was in the gallery? Who was watching you last week?
Coming down, I had my parents and younger brother, and then my fiance came down. My aunt and uncle lived down there, and then my older brother lives down there. And then we had some family friends that came down and was able to support. And then also with my cousin Carson up at UND, his dad was there that last week. So it was awesome to have people down there supporting.
What is that like? You've played in front of big crowds forever, but knowing there's pressure on this because if not, golf's likely done. Was there added pressure, I'll say, with everybody watching?
I think there maybe was a little bit. And it's a different feeling when you know that it could be your last tournament. Right. But it also was like a fun enjoyment type of tournament too, where it's like, this could be your last one, so play. Like growing up in hockey, it was always play like it's your last game. Yeah. And so it was awesome.
So I was telling you off air, I was following this last week where middle part of the round, Denver comes back and ties you guys. And Gabe told me he was he was following the whole time. You were the opposite, though, right? You didn't know what was going on?
No, I had no idea. And then, I checked. I had 2-putted on 18, and I wasn't playing the best. I kind of finished poorly, and but then the guys that had finished before us, they were kind of cheering after I legged my 15-foot birdie putt to 2 feet, and so they were cheering, and I'm like, okay, it must be a good feeling. So.
Well, you must have been the only one who didn't hole out or make a 65-footer at 18, because all your teammates did crazy stuff over the last couple holes.
Yeah, and it was cool to be behind them when they were doing that, because on 16, kind of getting to 17, I could hear Andrew's roar when he holed out for eagle on 17, and then I could hear Ryland's roar with that eagle on 18. So it was awesome
to have you. It's not that far removed when you were playing as a freshman. To have 2 freshmen on your team go and play the way they did, what does it say about their golf game and dealing with high stakes?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I remember me as a freshman. I didn't really crack the lineup. Our team was so good, and it still is, obviously. But for them to be able to do that at that type of tournament, and even this spring, we kind of struggled early on, and we couldn't really find anything, and they just turned on the gas pedal, and they just went full guns blazing.
So you flew back last week when the selection show was happening. Did you know? Were you able to? Gabe was mentioned, hey, we might be able to follow it when the air. Were you able to do that?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird timing. We thought we would maybe be able to catch it before we flew. But we were on the plane thankfully on Delta, so we all turned it on and had the earbuds, and so we were watching.
So Delta is the golf channel?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Finding out where you're going to be? You're going right back to Arizona when you're on the plane leaving Arizona.
It was cool. When we left the course after the last day, people had kind of made mention, and you really never know, but people had kind of mentioned the Texas regional, and so. To get back to Arizona, and Coach has some family down there, so it was awesome.
Yeah, Gabe broke that news to me because I know there's bracketology for basketball and football. I didn't know there was men's golf bracketology that there was out there that you guys could be projected to go. So you mentioned this to me. You said it. Dr. Miller knows this course a little bit. How much knowledge do you have of where you're going now next week?
I mean, a little bit. I think when he played it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But everything's online too. So we've all been looking up pictures and scorecards, and it's a long course, but down in Arizona, it definitely doesn't feel
Marana
that way.
Regional, it's the Gallery Golf Club in Tucson. It's basically, is it Arizona's home course? Is that where they play?
I think it's one of them for sure. I would
assume. The teams you may have heard of, Oklahoma State, they're the reigning champs. LSU, little school there. Arizona, Alabama, Duke, Clemson, and then here's North Dakota State.
Right.
What do you see when you see that?
It's weird. It's weird to think about it that way, but also even these last couple of years, we've played in some pretty cool events collegiately, and even for example, Ohio State's tournament, we went there and played with a bunch of Big Ten teams, and so it definitely, going in, it might feel a little weird, but when you're there, it's golf. So
Jeff Kolpak and I were talking yesterday about the investment the school has made in men's golf. Tell me about that from when you were being recruited and Coach Kennedy having you want to come there to say, we're going to go play in tournaments all over. What did that mean to you that there is a real investment being made in men's golf?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, when I was being recruited, the biggest part of it was the coach, Kennedy, or the coaches, and Larry Murphy.
And Larry.
And then the team, too. There was always a really big progression from when guys came in their freshman year to when they finished. But as far as the facilities, I mean, we didn't have, I think the football facility, that new one was being built when I was coming in. So I was fortunate enough my freshman year to have, all the bells and whistles right away. And then obviously the travel schedules. I mean, we've been to Bethpage Black and Bandon Dunes, Torrey Pines. We've been to Mexico. So it's been unbelievable.
Petrie told me the Mexico story. We don't need to relive that about where Coach Kennedy took you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was asking Gabe this last week. For those of us who've been to simulators, how can you really rip it in the indoor facility? Can you go full bore when you're trying to practice in there?
So with a simulator itself, obviously we all know hitting into a screen 5 feet in front of us isn't great, but with the putting green that we have, and then also that football facility where there's netting on the ceiling and all around, and so We literally line up mats on the 10-yard line, and we can see 100 yards of ball flight.
Okay.
And so it actually helps a lot more than maybe someone would think.
For this to make it, now I want to come back and I want to talk some of your career golf as well. To do this without playing a single round this entire spring, I don't know if that's going to – I hope that gets more appreciation when you guys get to Arizona that you did this. When all these other teams I just mentioned, they play all year round. That's just the advantage they have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we like we said, we were talking about off air. I mean, we did not play a full – most of us didn't play a full 18-hole round before we left for conference here in town. And obviously we're traveling all spring and even in the winter too, with all of us getting some practice in. But it is definitely a big disadvantage.
How much, though, is that a badge of honor, though, Jake, that, hey, we did this, we beat those other teams, even in our own league, and there are some teams that are sitting at home that aren't going to regionals, and you guys are.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a cool testament to not only our work ethic throughout the offseason, but also the fact that, you can play good golf up north here and get your work in when you need to.
Let's break. We come back much more with Jake Skarperud here in studio. Bison men's golf team heading to the NCAA regionals early next week. We'll chat about that. Much more about his career coming up through Shanley and now playing at NDSU. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A few more minutes here with Fargo's Jake Skarperud joining us. Bison men's golf team heading to the NCAA regionals in Arizona that begins on Monday. For those that don't follow golf, how does this work? What happens next week for you guys?
So basically, we'll leave Saturday, get down to Tucson, hopefully practice a little bit Saturday, and then Sunday's the practice round, just one practice round, and then we start right away Monday morning, and it's tee times every day, 3 days of golf, and top 5 of the teams make it to nationals, and then top individual player out of, if you're not within the top 5 teams, then they make it to nationals.
Okay, so there it is. Those are the teams you got to somehow.
Right.
But you mentioned this to me in off air, and this is perfect. It's golf, right? Mm-hmm. Things just sometimes happen, and whether it's good or bad, and that's what you got to play towards. Now.
Exactly, and without any expectations too. It's nice for us to go down, and it's like, you can play as loose as you feel, and there's really nothing to lose, and why not just attack it?
Now, if I remember right, I think when this is back before you got to college, when you played the Birchmont, and did you beat your dad? Do I remember this? Do I have that? Because I think I had him on the show, either that or I talked to you, one or the other. Yeah. How often is that? Do you still have bragging rights forever on him on that? Does it get brought up often? Or no?
I mean, even after we won this last week, we all went to Gabe Benson's parents' place down there, and it got brought up during that when we were sitting around the fire and stuff. So it still gets brought up, and it's funny. But
so when you were in the middle of that round, I'm thinking, well, I got him. Like, when did you feel like I'm playing really well? I think I had a chance to beat him today.
Well, I mean, I remember I beat him on 14, and I don't think he'll appreciate me saying that on air. But the thing that he always says is, you're my son. I gotta let you win. So.
When was golf always there, Jake? I know you played a lot of sports, but when did golf say, this is the one I really, really like?
Well, I remember playing, hockey and golf were kind of my 2 main sports, and I remember playing hockey in the summer times a lot, just growing up, and that was a blast. But I remember getting to high school around 8th or 9th grade, and that was when I kind of decided, I want to pursue golf, and I don't want to do any more hockey stuff in the summer, and so that was kind of when I chose to do that.
How big a deal is Tom Hoagie to you guys? How big an influence was he to say, this is the guy we can model him ourselves after?
Huge. Obviously, the success he's had now and up to now, but I remember the Bobcat North Dakota Open always was at Fargo Country Club, and the day before the tournament started, there was always a par 3 junior event, and so he was always the guy to come out, and there would be clinics and stuff like that.
That's right.
And there was one memory that I have from that, and there was a playoff on hole 8 on the par 3 course for it, and I remember making a putt to win it for our team, and then he was right there and giving him high fives and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
For you Fargo guys, it's a big deal to see him go out there, and he's won an event. He's played 2 Masters. I mean, for you guys growing up, that's big time stuff, I have to imagine,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And with our old coach, Steve
Coach Kennedy. Yep. Coach Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so he would always tell stories about Tom, and then even Tom invited him out to the Masters.
Yeah, that's right.
That other year, and so it was cool to hear about.
I was a little upset that Coach Kennedy couldn't find room for us to go to the Masters, but I have to let that go.
Yeah.
We were talking about finally getting out and playing, as you mentioned earlier. You guys hadn't played a competitive round outside. EDC boys golf is tough considering the conditions you guys always play in is miserable.
Right.
Was there a time when you're like, why are we, you remember, like, why in the world are we playing right now?
Yeah.
Like, how are we playing right now?
I mean, it seems like every year. I remember my senior year. We started out in the spring, obviously, and we went down and played in Wapaton, and it literally was like
Boy to Sue.
It was snowing down there, and it's just like, what are we doing? Why are we playing right now? But just got to do it.
And often I'd be out covering you guys as well. I'm like, what am I doing out here? Let alone you guys playing out here. But that. Because I was always a proponent of all spring sports of moving it back a few weeks. So you guys actually have a season, because I'm sure there's some years you guys, how many, maybe 5, if you're lucky, right? Meets before you got to state.
Yeah, exactly. And even state too, beginning of June, obviously it's warmer out, but it's still so windy and you never really know what you're going to get up here, obviously. But yeah, no, a couple years it was definitely a couple tournaments had to be canceled due to the weather.
You mentioned hockey. How passionate is that still for you, the game of hockey?
It's awesome. So my freshman year, was able to watch my younger brother, Zach. They won a state championship that year. And then that next year, it's like, who was I going to go watch? I needed something to do in the winter. And so the last couple of years I've coached hockey. And then when they transitioned to just the Shanley team, I coached them this year.
How was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's always so fun to, didn't realize how awesome coaching was until I do it. And seeing the progression of kids and kids like opening up to you as the season progresses, it's pretty cool.
Do kids know that you played, or they only know you as a golfer?
They just know me as the golfer.
You could play.
Yeah, and they kept asking about golf. Some kids, it's fun to even. I remember when I was in high school, we had a coach who played golf, and so we would talk about golf during practice. So it was a nice way to get away.
It's just natural,
bit.
right,
Yeah.
for the two sports to coexist the way they do.
Exactly.
So you mentioned what's happening. You're getting married here in the not too distant future. Describe balance in this, that you got this coming up next week, and then a couple weeks after that, you're getting married.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but I give all props to my fiance Peyton. She does a ton of work to help out with planning this wedding and stuff, and to prolong my season another week and a half. She's like, come on, like, what are you doing? Like, I need some help here, but she's the best, and so we're excited to get that going early June and settle in.
Have you thought about golf beyond NDSU?
I have. Up in the air.
Okay.
I don't feel any pressure, which is a good thing for me either way, whether I do it or not. So it'll just be kind of a decision in the moment, and I know I have my fiance's support if I want to do it, so that's a good feeling too.
We're just talking about, Tom, a bunch of your former Bison teammates that have gone. I mean, it is... Baseball always gets the rap, and I think it's accurate, of like the hardest road. But golf right there is because you're on your own.
Yeah.
I know how much the team aspect, and that's what is appealing about doing it collegially.
Mm-hmm.
Golf, you're on your own, man, and it is a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of finances involved and stuff, but even outside of that, there's, like you said, you're on your own. You got to try to find a team around you that aren't golfers, and you need a guy to help you with, therapy or lessons and stuff like that. So and even like the mini tour stuff, when you're around the Dakotas tour and everything, it's like you're driving all over and it's week after week. And so it's demanding, but if you love it enough, it's awesome.
Right. I mean, look at like a guy like Brant Snedeker was emotional this week, and he finally won. He hadn't won in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's won a bunch,
right?
But his game went away. It can happen that fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's golf, and there's a lot of ups and downs, obviously, but yeah.
Man. I'll get you in trouble here. You have a favorite course around here you love to play? Like, what's number one here in Fargo Metro? Let's just go right there. What's
Fargo
number one?
Country Club is my number one.
Favorite hole on that course?
Favorite hole, probably 17.
Yeah.
Par 5.
Yep.
So
go for it in 2 pretty much every time, right?
Hopefully, if I hit it well enough off the tee, don't hit it thin or anything.
We're along the river there, man. It's fantastic.
That's a cool
so many Bobcats I remember covering where literally the tournament would be decided there if a guy decided to go for 2 or not, and then decide to and make eagle, or tap in birdie, and the tournament would change right there.
And even 16, that drivable par 4, it's like 16, 17, 18, that can change in a heartbeat.
I can remember certain tournaments covering that. There'd be 4 groups waiting on the tee. There'd be somebody on the green, and then 3 more because everyone was bombing it, trying to hit the green.
Yeah, exactly. People are waiting on the green to allow the guys on the tee to hit up, and it's just like a whole fiasco.
I don't. If I've asked you this before, I apologize because every golfer I get, you got one club you can play 1 hole. What club are you going to play?
Probably a 7-iron.
Okay.
Because if I need to, hit a rope hook or something like that and get a little bit more yardage out of it, I can. And then for putting, it's fine.
You ever putted? Yeah. Have you putted with an iron before?
For fun.
Yeah.
Not in a tournament, thankfully. Because if I had, that probably means I broke my putter.
Something bad has gone down. But how is that to putt with an iron like that?
You basically got to hit it like you're blading it. So you just got to blade it with you don't use any of the loft or anything like that, and it normally works out decently fine.
That's hopefully problems you don't ever have. Have you ever gotten to the point where you've been so frustrated, like you want to break a club?
Yeah.
Or broke a club?
I mean, I've always wanted to. I never have, thankfully. Normally I do fine with keeping my keel out there, but I've had some moments where it's...
Well, around here with the wind today, I'd snap every club in my bag. There's no way I'm playing. You know what I mean? Like for the people that are going out there or out there now, good luck to you because this is...
And you really got to love it to be out there at this time.
Thanks for coming by, bud. It's great to see you. Congratulations on a couple of fronts. A, on winning the Summit League, and B, on getting married. That's awesome.
Thank
and tell your mom and dad I said hi, and thanks for coming by, all right?
I will. I appreciate it.
Jake Skarperud joining us here, a member of the Bison men's golf team. They head to Arizona. Competition begins on Monday. They got to finish in the top 5 to get to the national tournament coming up at the end of May. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready for a big sports Tuesday. See if the Wolves can go up on the Spurs. We'll do that. We'll wrap up Hot Mike after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Hey, tomorrow, NDSU track coach Stevie Keller will join us on the eve of the Summit League Track Championships coming back to Fargo. They start on Thursday. Stevie will join us. Sam Herter will be with us as well tomorrow. Talk some FCS football. Looking forward to a packed Wednesday show. Hopefully recapping a Timberwolves victory tomorrow. We talked about it earlier in the show. After we signed off yesterday, the news broke that there would be no suspension, no fine for Victor Wembanyama for what the people's elbow that he threw against Naz Reid in Game 4 against the Timberwolves. And he'll be back, and I would imagine he's going to have an edge to him as well for this game tonight against Minnesota, where the Wolves are a decided underdog again, like they have been this entire postseason run. Let me look at the latest FanDuel here and what the odds are. San Antonio minus 9.5 for tonight's game against Minnesota. We already know the series is going back to Minneapolis for a Game 6 on Friday. Last night, Cleveland beat Detroit to even that series up now at 2 games apiece. So that's become a best of 3 with Game 5 in Detroit tomorrow. So we only have 2 series left in the NBA, with Oklahoma City sweeping out the Lakers and the Knicks sweeping out Philadelphia. They're waiting in their respective conference finals. ESPN has the game tomorrow night. Then Friday, they have not determined times nor networks yet, which is odd considering we know the games are happening. We just don't know when yet, unless that's been updated, at least according to ESPN's website. Friday has TBD for both Game 6s for Spurs, Wolves, and Pistons, Cavs. Let's get a couple more items in here. We're almost at the end of the show, and we've had no other, unless I missed it, Eric can correct me, any other NFL scheduling news pop here over the last hour. So the hammer has come down on not letting anything out outside of the fact that ESPN is doing its presentation here with Disney. So you have to, I would think there's going to be something innovative. Let's see here from my guy, Austin Karp. It says 2 Spanish-language broadcasts for the Super Bowl this coming season. Univision has a new sub-license for the game from ESPN. ESPN Deportes will still air it as well. Of course, this is the first time that ESPN is getting the Super Bowl I don't know if you've heard. It's been on every promotion possible. And then the game will also be simulcast on ABC. One other thing. We got Game 5 tonight in Sioux Falls. USHL Western Conference Finals, Force and the Stampede. We featured it on Best of the Weekend yesterday. The two games that were played here at Shields Arena this weekend, both overtime thrillers. The Force won in triple overtime in Game 3. The Stampede came back and won it with a power play goal in overtime in Game 4 to set up now a winner-take-all to go to the Clark Cup final. Muskegon won last night over Madison. I believe that's the Lumberjacks, if I remember correctly. They are going to play in the Clark Cup final against the winner of the series tonight at the Premier Center in Sioux Falls. Brent Skinner's done an unbelievable job as head coach there. Even build routinely that team, which is full of players that are going to go on and play college hockey. It's a good product. And some will roll their eyes. I would say the crowd for the Force are different than what the Red Hawks crowd. They want to go and be outside for 3 hours or if maybe 2 and take in. Baseball just happens to be going on. Force is completely different. They are invested in it. I know there are a lot of billet parents there that host the players, that they live with said parents, but it's a different crowd. They are invested in the team. They know the players. They certainly know where they're going to be playing at the next level, whether it's at the University of North Dakota or wherever. And it's actually pretty fun to follow when those guys, and some have gone on to make it to the National Hockey League, that those guys were playing their junior hockey here in town. It's just the knowledge of that fan base should not be underestimated. They're pretty darn knowledgeable, and we'll see if they got another hockey game to cheer on. I'll never forget the first or second time they made the Clark Cup final. It's near Memorial Day, and the ice was still in at Shields Arena. Like, man, you thought the season's long in the actual NHL, which it is. They were still playing hockey come near Memorial Day at Shields Arena. The first or second time they made it to the Clark Cup final is wild. Eric, you said we got another leak?
Yeah, potential.
What do we got?
International game. Jags at Texans in Week 6. I know we don't care about
That's
that.
a divisional game.
Yeah, I know.
Huh. Where? Do we know where?
Wembley Stadium in London.
Okay, so it's in London.
It's a potential game. They're not confirming, but
Jacksonville, Houston, divisional game, that's a good game. Those are two playoff teams from a season ago. I guess we better get used to that, because when we get to 18 games and everybody's going to have to play overseas, I'd have a hard time accepting, like in my own fandom, like Jets-Bills being played in Spain or Australia. That game should be played either in Orchard Park or in New Jersey. Or Packers-Vikings is not played in Minneapolis and Green Bay. That I would not want to see that happen. Like for these two fans, and granted, Jacksonville has gotten used to playing 2 games overseas every year. I don't know how they feel about having a division, especially, let's just call it, the AFC South is going to be pretty good again. We think the Texans are going to be good. Jacksonville is poised to have another really good year with what they built. That's tough to have a division. You lose that advantage. You like having that at home, but you got to do what the NFL says on that. Everybody's going to be playing eventually a game overseas. What I'm intrigued on, we mentioned it yesterday and we said it earlier in the show, the new windows. We now know that the NFL has said, bleep you to college football. We asked you to move. You didn't, so we're putting a game here. If that's the impetus again for the college football players, we got to get away from the NFL. We can't have our most important games get blown out of the water by who knows who gets put in that. Let's just say let's pick Browns. Give me somebody. I don't know, Browns Cardinals. And that'll get better ratings than the college football game is because it's the NFL. I don't care. It will. Like college football, got to figure it out. You got to get away from the NFL. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. For all sports. All All right, here we go. We got Game 5 tonight, 7 o'clock. No complaining start time, everybody. 7 o'clock, NBC, Wolves-Spurs, Game 5. Who takes the series lead? We'll find out tonight. Twins are back in action. They got the Marlins at Target Field tonight after they won a series on the road. I don't even know who we got pitching tonight. I should know this beforehand. Here we go. Bailey Ober and Yuri Perez will be going. I love those Marlins jerseys, old school. And we got game number 5, Ducks and the Golden Knights, 8:30 tonight on ESPN. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Nyeoti Punni, to Mike McFeely, and to Jake Skarperud. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Don't get blown away by the wind. We'll see you back here tomorrow.